Good morning, guys. Welcome to this Wednesday, May 27th. And market is wildly to the upside, at least on the Nasdaq this morning. Pretty strong warning, pretty strong overnight. The news we have for this morning, pretty anemic, not a whole lot. We had mortgage apps come out at 7. It was to the downside, actually. Big move to the downside. Composite was down 8%, refinance down 18. I guess this because the yields were up, causing that. We're getting nothing at 8:30, but at 10 we get Richmond Fed Manufacturing, and then we have a 5-year auction at 1. A 2-year auction at 11:30. I'm not sure how much big of a deal that is, but 11:30 and 1 we have auctions. So that's it. Not a whole lot of news to drive the market for sure, but definitely some. I checked the stocks this morning, and it's amazing. I'm watching these freaking between you heard about the Micron and AMD. AMD popped pretty good, and there's an Nvidia rival, so they are a competitor. So they are popping. They've been going pretty strong to the upside. Micron is going parabolic. I mean, they are close to $1,000 a share now. It's like, are you kidding me? That's pretty strong. I mean, that's just a squeeze of memory. That's a crazy move to the upside. So that's people chasing a stock for sure. Not chasing it. But I mean, sometimes you feel that fear of missing out when you watch this move like that. It's like, man, you can have bought it 5 days ago at making new highs, and it's still making new highs, and it's accelerating. That's pretty crazy. So that's the market going into. That's probably why Nasdaq is making new highs like that. They have a few of those which are really driving it. Now, looking at the overall market, we are to the upside. The ES is right up here, ready to make a new high, running in. This is right now potentially setting up a retest failure that you always have to be aware of. When you are retesting a new high, well, the chances are we're going to get a little bit of coverage of covering at that point. This retest happened in that little baby day on Monday, so we'll see how strong this is, or if they are going to kind of blow through it. But right now they rejected it in the overnight. You'll see. I'm waiting for a day session test before I make any judgment on that being a retest failure just yet. But right now, I mean, as we said yesterday, we're staying on the long side, looking to buy weakness. So far, they haven't in the overnight taken out the lows by any means, or any even challenged that. So we are buying weakness for rotations up, and right now we're looking to buy against the 75.40s, the 30s, 20s, and then one level outside the obvious 7,500. So those are the levels below 7,500, and taking off that long bias and going back range bound at that point. And on the way up, looking for shorts against that 75.50s, 65 to 70s for rotations down again. Also with a bunch of caution because we are up against these upper levels at that point. So that's a pretty straightforward analysis when it moves like this. Much harder when it's moving in the range to find the edges because it gets convoluted. Right now, the buying weakness is the ticket. Until things change, buying weakness is what you want to do. So right now they're backing off. You can see almost a triple top here on the top before they start backing off. But it's still just overnight trading. So it's going on. Nasdaq, a big move to the upside, and they just rocketing. They just making new high. It's absolutely amazing how they can rocket. So looking at the buying against the right now it's a fair amount of range up here which I haven't covered. Yes, looking at the upper edge at the 300, so 30,300s for each potential short. Otherwise, buying weakness, you're looking to buy against the 160s, 120s, 60s, 30s down to the 30,000 level for rotations back up. Below 130,000, maybe take off the long bias. I'll give it a little bit more. This is one level outside the obvious as well, but you can see how much range we have here. This is at the 300s down to it's like 300-point range we're looking at right here. Quite a bit of range. So just trade there is a bit of caution. Nasdaq has been massively whippy, so it moves. When it starts moving higher, you want to be on that move. If it's when it's retracing, you want to be out of the way. So it's difficult. Yesterday, I could not find a spot to get in. I kind of missed part of the morning, but it is difficult. These bars right now, so looking at this little bar right there, that is your 250 up to the two say like 15 points, 16 points. They're not totally crazy, but it's still my stop is 80 ticks, so that's about 20 points. Uh, shy of 20 points, but so it's not by any means. This is about the stop size. So when it starts moving and you get a little bit, just a little bit bigger bars, you have to be really not um, really nimble at the edges, or be prepared to move your stop a little bit and make it a little bit bigger to handle volatility. But man, it is something going on the Nasdaq right now. That's for sure. So starting off from the long side, looking to buy weakness on both ESN and Nasdaq. Pretty straightforward analysis to get started. This morning, bond market is pretty much holding in a range up here at the 112. Hasn't kind of continued. It kind of stalled right now, and I would just say that it's range bound. I would still favor the long side, looking to buy weakness right now against the 112 6 to 7s, 112 evens, rotations back up again on the buck. So buying against these two areas, the 12 67s and the 112s for rotations back up. And below 112s, maybe looking for a retracement trade at that point. So that's on the way up, short setups against the 1220s right now. That's about it. So a pretty tight range, but then again, it's the big question right now is, are we hearing anything from the Iranian situation? If that comes out with a big, yeah, we're going back into it's a little bit more shooting, then well, then it's going to be a lot more. It's going to be a knee-jerk reaction to the downside. If they are not doing that, they're going to just stay the course and do the economic pressure campaign. Well, the market is probably going to keep going higher. So I mean, I think the kinetic stuff, and if that happens, is going to be a bigger deal. But I think it's not going to be as big of a deal as when it started. Definitely a reaction at that time. So back to the ES and the Nasdaq, and as you said, getting started. Well, on the crypto wise, real quick, and cover that for a few days. Silver's a little bit to the downside. Haven't taken any trades in overnight. Gold running down hard, but this is right now running out of gas. So you can see that it expires today, gold. So I would not trade it. You can see how it's thinning out, really thinning out in the book. So it's rolling into the next month. Now you can't roll it right now. You have to roll it tomorrow. So that's going to be an issue I have to address on the data server side at one point. But you can force roll it by doing a replace instead if you want to roll it. Oil down to 90. I'll tell you that there's some optimism there on the oil side of things. So back to 90. We'll see. It's anyone's guess. So it's just hard to figure out what's going on in that part of the world, especially when, yeah, well, everyone is out there posturing, right? So you can't trust what they say publicly, what's happening privately. It's just a big mess. So it's we just have to wait and see what comes out of it. But then on the but I would say the ES and the Nasdaq right now are going to probably trend higher until we get either some kind of knee-jerk reaction or something else happening. Watch oil. It's going to give you an early indication if that something starts happening. If that starts popping, something bad's happening. If it's coming down, something good is happening. That's pretty much the analysis right now. So that's pretty much it, guys. Pretty straightforward analysis. Let's see if they can hold on to this little traction. But it's been extending pretty good, especially in Nasdaq. So looking at the capital flow in Nasdaq, you can see that they have been doing a pretty good move to the upside here lately. So they kind of due for a little pause, but it doesn't necessarily need to happen. This craziness can go on for a while. So it's market can stay crazy a lot longer than you can stay in a position. So that's just, we learned that a few times. However, I wouldn't be chasing some of those stocks now. Sometimes you just, you chase it, you're wrong, you just lose your butt. You're waiting for a little bit to figure out what's really going on with that thing. But if there's sometimes you have to chase it. But I think after now it's kind of getting late in that rally if you want to chase those. And it all all has to do with your timing, how long you're going to hold stuff. So we'll see. But right now, for futures, we don't really care about those longer term positions. We just care what's happening in the day session. So right now, we're still staying on the long side. Nasdaq, ES is pulling back pretty good. Nasdaq hasn't even started, so we'll see how this shakes out. But we have our levels to get long against: 75 40s, 30s, down to the 20s. Last one is 7,500, right? And on the Nasdaq, those levels are 30,180, 170, 120, 70s, 30s, down to the 30,000s even for rotations back up again. So let's see how this whole thing shakes out. All right, guys, we leave it there. I'll see you back at 11:30 for the next update. So good trading, and I'll see you back then.